well, maybe I could figure out which of their clients used that, turnkey pay upfront distribution model. And you can't tell on IMDb. On
Hmm.
IMDb Pro, you can't tell. You look them up, you can't tell which ones use that model. So I couldn't figure out if it had worked, if it was a, working, successful model or not. They didn't even want to tell me how many clients had used it in the past. I did. I've actually built quite a relationship with this main guy who I like very much. Um, but he did say, we have had it is a new marketing strategy, meaning there's
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of people doing this yet. And I had initially said to him, I'm trying to figure out why the heck there are so many middlemen in the film business. You get a sales agent who takes 15, 20%. The distributor can take up to 35%. And then there's all these marketing costs, and the sales agents are, dinging us for $35,000 of costs once money is made from the film. So on the back end, and he said, listen, if you want to get rid of all these middlemen and every kind of minimize the amount of hands in the cookie jar, then this is a perfect way to do it. You don't need a sales agent, at least not for the North American market. He did say that once. He said that for a film like this, the international market will follow North America. So it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense first to start doing business in North America, and then the international market will kind of piggyback onto the fact that the DVDs already paid for, the posters are already paid for, the marketing and all of that, and it's less of a cost for them. But he really said to me, I cannot give you this information. And I said, listen, I said, if I was a client of yours, just know that I would be happy to talk to any filmmaker who had that question, wanted to know if this marketing strategy worked for them. And he said, I understand, but I can't just give you, it's not, he said, it's not done in the film business. He said, I know you're a new filmmaker, but this is just not done in the film business. And I don't know whether that's true or not. And I imagine maybe it is. I mean, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and he's certainly very successful.
Yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't mean that it can't be done. I mean, like the landscape of digital distribution has changed tremendously, and like say this is a new thing. So even though the feedback, my gut feeling is like that's interesting. I mean, because it's you can go into IMDb Pro and then find out certain films that you think you kind of match up to your film, and if you've seen it before, like I've seen this. They have they're sometimes they should be labeling the distribution company, in IMDb Pro. Like so it's not just the studio, it's not just the production company, but sometimes it shows like how it was released. But there's usually contact information. When I say IMDb Pro, because that gives you all the contact information of all the people that were working on the project, and so you can find out from like an associate producer or a producer, and just use as a producer to producer, just had a quick question because sometimes these people will go, let me talk to you off the record or something, you know. You know what I mean? Like the interesting strategy is to maybe start, even if it's not this particular studio, find some other films that are that you think are similar to yours, and then you can find out who some of the producers were, and just see if they're on Facebook, or you might know them already, or you can contact them or send them an email and just say, I just had a quick question. I'm looking to do our distribution for this, and I wanted to know what your experiences were with, with these people. They could either say yes or no. Like I said, the worst things that can happen, they say no. And I think that's so great about what you've done is that you've maintained your relationship in the proper way with this particular company, and you had questions, but you had the wherewithal to say step back to like check some things before you went fully full steam ahead. And it's interesting that you bring these questions up because I don't know if any other filmmakers or other clients of theirs would have, So, but that just saying that there's other options out there. From when I look at it, though, from what we learned from Film Trooper and all the different, guests that have come on and seen everybody trying to work this, is that the beauty of the aggregation company is that they are not there. They're only there to be a quality assurance controls third party for all these major platforms. And it started years ago with iTunes. And one of the first companies they worked with was Bitmax, because they just needed to make sure that the audio for the iTunes Music Store was up to par, and because iTunes and all these companies, they did not want to deal with independent producers. They rather just deal with one entity. And so for them on a digital front was simply, listen, it's interesting because iTunes views themselves as a storefront. They have a system in place where you can use any one of the approved aggregators, distributor, Bitmax, pay a flat fee, and then once it's quality control approved, your content will be up on the storefront. They have no control. They don't do anything about marketing your stuff. But you'll see that some of these old time aggregators like Bitmax. I had Jay Freeman on the podcast many years ago here on Film Trooper, and he says, we can tell like a filmmaker that comes on and is paying us like they have their shit together. It's like they have a marketing plan. It looks like they have a following in place, and you were talking about relationships. It's because we just notify our guys in iTunes that this one looks like it has like their stuff together. You might keep an eye on it. But really the way to trigger something like iTunes and Amazon, these storefronts, is they're all predicated on pre-sales. So you can pick a date when you're going to release your film, but ahead of that is if iTunes or Amazon suddenly sees that M.O.M is getting all these pre-sales, they're like, oh, so what they can do is when it comes to release and it hits it triggers like a certain number in the algorithm, then that's how it gets sort of like new and noteworthy. It's like it's actually a couple of years ago it was a trick used on for podcasts. So people submitting brand new podcasts on iTunes, one of the things is that iTunes for a while had this new and noteworthy section that was within an 8-week span. So some podcasters figured out they can launch a new podcast, have all their old followers go and subscribe and get a lot of downloads within the first 8 weeks. And so they were doing these like mini limited edition podcasts or like 8-10 episodes, because the system was just seeing that, oh, this new content on our platform is getting a lot of downloads and a lot of subscribes. So then what we'll do is we'll just make sure that's in the new and noteworthy section so more people could see it because it's having traction. Well, the same kind of marketing principles hold true for placing your film directly onto iTunes or Amazon. If they see prior to being released officially that you're getting all these people, literally you're buying these pre-sales, numbers. So when it released, they're like, well, let's just, put this up, in our new noteworthy section where people can see it. That's what iTunes calls it new noteworthy. I think Amazon calls it something different. But that's how filmmakers, like truly uber independent filmmakers, have been able to get their films within the first week paired up right next to some studio film that's released the same week.
Interesting.
Yeah. So aggregators, the ones that are approved like Bitmax and just distributor, they still have relationships too. And they're more than happy to, because they see their world of aggregation is that they don't turn people away. They accept the money. They just make sure that it's quality assurance and they push it forward. But there's some joy to their job if they see somebody who's got it together. Like, whoa, this could actually be something, that could do well on the platforms, because we see you have your marketing in place, you have your audience, you have your pre-sales, all that kind of stuff in place, and they're open to having. You can have a conversation with them, with all these aggregators, and say, how can we get it pushed up in the new noteworthy, or how can we, what other numbers or things can we do? And they probably just give you the information for free because they're just so excited to talk to you. And I kind of get that gauge from some other filmmakers to work with them, So that's what I'm saying is like, you could either pay up front the $10,000, $15,000, have turnkey, still it's a possibility. Or if there's a opportunity for you to pay the flat fee, work with the aggregator, but then use set aside the budget of $10,000 that you would have paid up front, but just had it for maybe that could be used for marketing efforts, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll tell you one other thing too. You could literally probably, for M.O.M or something, you can get a following on like Facebook, start collecting people's information. It's like, hey, and then have some sort of giveaway. Like anybody who signs up for your email list, you can almost. Can you imagine if you took, instead of saying $10,000 that you would put towards an upfront cost, you take the $10,000 and then you're going to give a voucher to everybody who signs up to the your account, where their job is, as part of this launch group, like you get 100 people or something that say, your job is like, we're going to give you a voucher and all you have to do is pre-order the movie on iTunes and Amazon for, between now and this, before our launch date. So, it's almost like a gift certificate, but that $10,000 is like, you're already doing your your buy-in, and, or give them half off or something like that. So there are strategies that can be done with the money at hand. Like I said, there's options of figuring out, if we had this money, is this the best spent money? Or can we do something like this, form a launch group, and then have people, buy into it ahead of time? And that's one thing I learned about when I launched my book on Amazon, and as an experiment. One of the things that was taught to us by these online entrepreneurs was to build a launch group. So any product, whether that be a book, a movie, a software release or anything like that, there has to be this build up to the eventual release of the film or the release of the product. And so the fun thing was, I gathered about like 100 people that were going to get the book for free. All they had to do was like just leave a review of the book, of what they thought about the book when the book was released. So I get like 100 people in this group, kept them up to date, like, because as the book was being written, and then I released the book, and then I had about not every person, the 100 people, about 35 people had left reviews, But what I should have done, which I did not know, was that Amazon had this thing where they were looking for, it has more validity if you had verified purchases. So I could have, what I should have done is had some way of getting a voucher or offering the book for the first day for almost nothing. So that way everybody in the group would be seen as they were verified purchases, as well as leaving a review. So it has more validity. And now that but that's like evergreen. Now the book exists, it has these reviews, and then it's, and anything we shop for is like, other customers bought this, and it's like paired up with like really well-known books. The same thing can be done I've seen it with movies. Other people have viewed this or watched these movies. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, next time I do that, I'm just going to make sure I set aside some money, and my launch group, I'm just going to give them here's your iTunes voucher, or sorry, here's your Amazon voucher. Thank you for being part of this group. Here's what you need to do. You need to use this voucher to do a pre-sale of the content and then leave a review, and you get an early screening review, and we release it. And that's how you sort of, let's say, trick the system, but you're working the system.
Right. But is the idea with the pre-sale, meaning, we did set up a website, mothersofmonsters.com. And we do have a newsletter. We do have a pretty good and ever-growing list of folks who are interested in the film. So by pre-sales or offering them a voucher, are they pre-ordering the film before we've released it?
Yes.
For a discount. And then that's what makes the numbers on, let's say, Amazon or whatever go up? Right.
It's what they call in the any kind of business like a loss leader. So in the film business, sometimes they think that releasing a film to the big screen, to the theatrical release, is that costs so much money to get the film out to these theatrical releases that they have to pay 50% has to go to the exhibitor, the theater chain owner, before the film has to be in the theaters for 8 weeks or something before they can start recouping 75-80% of the profits. By that time, most of it's dwindled down. But by having the prestige of a film being run in the theaters, for many times that was always used as a loss leader, as almost like an advertisement ploy, so that when it got to digital or DVDs, people recognized it. Oh yeah, I kind of remember that was being in the theater. businesses have that. The razor blade razor industry, they will sell, or the printer, your home printer. Like you can buy